point you hit on UFO cults. Is there a good starting point?
There's a lot of unnatural ways of running away from paradoxes, but people who have gotten a taste of discoveries knows that that's what you hold on to. There's this multi-generational conspiracy, somehow interfaces with Masonic networks, has some numerological symbolistic fetishes to it. The ancient pagan mystery cults that animated and controlled under priesthood the ancient civilizations going from India, Babylon, Persia, you name it. These were threatened existentially by the emergence of monotheistic faiths that emerged with the concept of a reasonable, loving creator. Judaism and then Christianity took it to another level and disrupted the controls of these ancient pagan mystery sects. 20th century UFO cults were a retooling or rebranding of those 18th century cults. Like, they use a lot of true facts, but it's wired in such a way as to make people autistic around that single issue without an ability to appreciate the causal dynamics shaping what's going on. A new set of sacred stories, a revived paganism, to revive or rebrand mystery religions and associated habits and traditions associated with the practices of the cults. A new scientific veneer in the 21st century and beyond. The UFO aspect is just another way of rebranding the spirit beings, the demons, the angels, the other things that different folklores have conveyed. Do they have special knowledge that I don't know about? Is maybe there a higher necessity to all this evil that I'm simply not aware of?
So we have this historical development of UFO cults, but we can identify at least some touch points between those and intelligence agencies. Part of the importance of the conversation of UFO cults is relating it to actual governance. It's not conspiracy theory, it's not wacky. If you want to talk about UFO cults, you go to Scientology. And Scientology looks like it was templated from Theosophy in very many ways. But of course, between 1875 and 1950, you have a lot of development of science. When you look into Scientology, you realize that they tend to steer a lot of people toward, basically what is like hypnotism and neuro-linguistic programming. I grew up in the Association for Research and Enlightenment, which was a UFO cult, where we as children were taught the remote viewing processes. It was entirely a mind control propaganda operation. It's spycraft and mind control. SIFs for people who may be already natural psychopaths. Therefore, you can put them in certain positions. You don't really fail a lie detector test. Either it picks up signals or it doesn't. If it doesn't pick up any signals on you, you're a psychopath. It all comes back to Scientology and the Esalen Institute, and that's just more indication that Scientology is a government-controlled UFO cult. It sounds like wacky conspiracy theory until you dig into all the details. The Mormon religion, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's an interesting reaction. If you read the Wikipedia page, you don't get the impression that it might be like a UFO cult that grew into a large religion. If you go to heaven, you don't just go to heaven, but you become God of your own planet. There's a connection through outer space. It's different than most of the things that we call UFO cults, but it does involve this sort of outer space realm.
So you got all of these creepy occultists who are being brought into important government structures, and they're very, very closely interfacing with the Mormons. The Mormons are just playing a weird role in every year, and right now, of all the Christian sects, I think these are the most enthusiastic for the alien disclosure story right now and at this moment.
We have multiple of these UFO religions or cults now that are directly connecting to either U.S. intelligence or in British intelligence. The Nazis were actually just a creation of the same people who were ruling Britain, the Aryan race. I mean, that was just like fabricated out of whole cloth from Theosophy. Nazis went looking for artifacts all over the world, just like the Theosophists did, looking for the ancient magics and whatnot.
It became a little bit perplexing for some of the higher geopolitical managers of the empire how they could justify to the people of Britain, more broadly the Commonwealth, why a German family would be fighting another German family around the Kaiser, and they're like, well, let's change our name to maybe Windsor.
Powerful families around the royal family who still had German names also changed their names right at the same time. And then you have World War I and everybody forgets about it.
People who think outside the box and look for causality need to be satisfied. So in order to get the aristocracy, especially Tsar Nicholas II, but also Kaiser Wilhelm in Germany, to reject the counsel of some of their wisest leaders, these stupid, flattery-loving czars and kaisers who were, again, both profiled massively by their uncle Edward VII. They're like, look, these guys are using loans from banks to build things, and that's causing debt. Debt to who? The Rothschilds. We found this magazine. They laid out all of their plans, and you read the friggin' Protocols of Zion, and it reads like a friggin' comic book, because this was being published across the press of Russia as well. So citizens with pitchforks would be going to like Jewish communities and like doing a lot of violence. It was traumatic for a lot of Jews, and Hitler believed in the Protocols of Zion. They were all like anti-Freemasonic conspiracy theorists.
Were World War I and World War II just a giant LARP?
The oligarchy is very, very good at controlling perceptions, but not always so good at the reality side of things. Every time they get close to achieving what they want or attain what they desire in the course of history, you find examples of them blowing themselves up and the power structures managing the cults from above. There's a sense that there's going to be a new system brought online out of the fires of cataclysm. Do they have secret knowledge? Is all of this evil necessary for some obscure ends I'm not capable as a lowly plebe to understand? No, they don't. I've now fully come to the conclusion that they absolutely do not.
There's some sort of very large power struggle going on. They are all within the same hierarchy. They just don't know it. They have their own sub-hierarchies within the larger hierarchy. And they think that they are fighting to maintain their independence of hierarchy, when the truth is they're both just in the same hierarchy. Well, fast forward to the pandemic. There are Scientologists everywhere. If we have orbiting big spaceships with all these like super intelligent beings that got here from other galaxies or whatnot, essentially we're like ants to them. The conclusion that most people would come to is that there's an asymmetric power dynamic. If there's a commandment passed down, you really don't have a choice. It's the aliens doing it.
Yeah, exactly.